Hey guys, happy, oh my gosh, Tuesday. Um, the days all blend together when you're super pregnant and COVID. I'm going to give it a minute just for Instagram to let people know we're live, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with some prenatal Q&A nutrition. Looks like Jackie's joining us. Yay! I'm going to let Jackie in, and then we're going to go ahead, give it a minute, and get started. I think she's just getting connected. Super excited for this conversation, guys. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I was like adjusting myself because I was a little cut off once we're
And
all figured out. Awesome.
I
Uh,
also have this very nice glare in the back. So sorry if this is bugging anyone.
you're fine. We'll give it a minute, see if anyone can join us, but this will be available on IGTV and also on YouTube. So if you cannot join us live, totally fine. I know that with COVID and childcare and dinner time, all the things. So we're hoping this can be a great resource that will live on both of our pages so you can reference it for later.
Great.
I'm super excited to have Jackie here with us. I will intro her in a sec. And I'm just really grateful that we have time to have this conversation. I'm still pregnant to make it happen. Although I'm inching a little, wanting to get closer to delivery at this point. Um, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Erica, and I'm based in San Diego as well as Jackie. And I'm a pre and postnatal fitness coach. I work specifically with women in all stages of motherhood, from trying to conceive all the way through pregnancy, postpartum, and beyond. So I do one-on-one coaching, as well as I'll be launching a lot more small group and programs heading into the spring after baby arrives. And I'm super excited to have Jackie here. Jackie is a registered dietitian here in San Diego. I'm going to let her introduce herself quickly, and then we'll kind of go get started with some questions I have for her, and then some questions that were submitted for her as well. So Jackie, I'll pass it to you to give us a little intro about yourself.
Perfect. Thank you. So like Erica said, my name's Jackie and I am a registered dietitian. I'll try to block this glare. I'm also based in San Diego, but the beauty of what I do is that I work with people from all over. I own my virtual private practice. I am a bariatric surgeon by trade, and I just launched my private coaching practice, and I am truly passionate about helping people with weight loss because I went through my own weight loss journey. So I have been helping people one-on-one, and I'm really excited. I just launched and opened the doors to a new group program that already have people signing up, and I specialize in mindful eating. So it is not intuitive eating. It's similar, but it's different because when my clients come to me, I know that they want to lose weight, and it's something that I'm very conscious about. But the people that come to me are also so sick of yo-yo dieting, so sick of restriction. So we focus on a lot of mindful behaviors. I do a lot of like cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's really kind of a balance between that. And I just help people fall back in love with food and fall in love with their body again and be at a goal weight or size, or just to feel comfortable in their skin.
I love it. I know that we've had conversations a little bit about this, not only for myself, but just in general. I as well, when I was younger, went through a lot of yo-yo dieting, a lot of body image issue. I don't want to say issues, but body image struggles. I think I did Weight Watchers when I was 12 years old, which blows my
I was
mind.
30.
The meetings. I, especially when working with moms, don't really advocate for dieting specifically, because there's so many ups and downs, and especially when you're a new mom, there's so many stressors, and there's the breastfeeding component. And so I'm a big advocate of, and I'll ask you to go into a little bit more of intuitive versus mindful eating and kind of your approach. But for the purposes of today, like, I thought maybe we could dive into a little bit more on some of the prenatal questions. And
Absolutely.
I do know you work with a lot of women, and basically like 85% of women at some point in their lives will have a pregnancy or will have a child. So I have to imagine that you do work with a lot of women who are either trying to conceive or are pregnant or have had children at some point in their lives. So this would be a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so when I first started my practice and I started saying like, okay, what's my passion? Who's my ideal client? And it was funny because weight loss is a passion, but also, especially as I'm moving into hopefully motherhood soon, I really started to really find like my love and passion for pregnancy. So my very first client was actually someone who came to me who was pregnant with twins and she wanted to have a healthy pregnancy, and she had an incredible pregnancy, a great birth. It was actually her second pregnancy. So I do help. I have quite a few clients now who are pregnant, also in the postnatal. So it's something, and Shalom Baby is something that I've been involved with. So I absolutely love helping, especially through like the beginning phases and also during their pregnancy and after.
Exactly. And it's about for me specifically and a lot of moms just understanding how to have a healthy pregnancy from a nutrition standpoint, especially in certain parts of the pregnancy, like the first trimester when, you know, all that looks good is pieces of toast or cereal and milk or something like that. So kind of leading to my first question, you know, what are some of your go-to nutrition recommendations for moms to be like during pregnancy, and you know, just in terms of like some meal ideas or maybe some micronutrients to keep in mind, just you know, things that you typically recommend to some of your clients as they kind of go through pregnancy.
Absolutely. So, having studied it, and also, I mean, there's so much out there on the internet. So, a lot of people, I feel like they get pregnant and it's like, let me buy every book and let me learn everything and let me memorize everything. And really, it is not, it's complicated in a sense, but it really shouldn't be. So, I like to kind of take that ease off of my clients and really focus on it's just wholesome, natural nutrition as for the normal woman that is not pregnant, but there are a few macro and micronutrients that I do like to emphasize. So, especially in the first trimester, I don't recommend increasing calories or anything like that. Again, it's listening to your body. It's more so in the second and the third trimester when you are feeding for, you know, your little fetus. It's funny when people are like, I'm eating for two, I can eat as, it's like, no, it's just around like 300 extra calories. It's really not that much big of a difference. But the things that are very, very important are increasing your protein. That's really important for the baby's development. So I always am focusing on lean protein. Definitely, of course, I'm sure a lot of people on here know about folate. So that is really important. I love to also make sure that people understand the difference between folate and folic acid. A lot of people don't recognize that. So folate is actually something that we are able to metabolize and is bioavailable, where folic acid is not. And a lot of women are not capable of actually metabolizing folic acid as easily. So when you're getting a prenatal supplement or you're looking for any supplement, making sure that it's folate, and you get folate from your leafy greens, broccoli, spinach. You can even get it from cauliflower, lots of different sources. Again, spina bifida is something that we want to prevent. So any of those defects, calcium, vitamin D, iodine, DHA. Again, these are the things that I think of, but really it's all about wholesome natural foods. You want them in their purest form. You want protein, you want fiber, you want healthy fat, you want balance. You want to listen to your body, especially when your hormones are just going all over the place and you're going to probably have ridiculous cravings. We need to honor those cravings, but at the same time, knowing that what you're putting in your body, I get the chills when I talk about this, like you're feeding your future child and you want them to be strong and healthy. Iron is another really important micronutrient. So you, because you're pregnant, need double the amount of iron that I do as a female that's not pregnant. So that is something, whether you are plant-based or whether you are having animal proteins is more easily like digested and metabolized. So that's the difference between heme protein versus non-heme. And then if you want to be able to increase your absorption, let's say if you're plant-based, which is totally okay, anyone who's plant-based on here, just having some sort of you want vitamin C to enhance that absorption. But then again, If you have calcium in there, calcium decreases the absorption. So again, it's finicky and there's a lot of little things, but I think my go-to meals, it's how I really counsel my clients. Keep it simple. Protein, fiber, and healthy fat. You can't go wrong. Protein is going to help keep you full, going to, maintain your lean body mass, muscle. Fiber also will help keep your blood sugar stable, preventing anything with gestational diabetes. And that healthy fat for satiation, fat soluble vitamins and minerals that you want to make sure that you're absorbing, good for your baby's development. So really it's color and all of, just natural foods. You can't really go wrong. And of course, we'll probably talk about the things to avoid. But I think it's important that everyone's journey is different. So it's really like your body is an incredible mechanism. It'll tell you what it's craving. Like I even know before I get my period, like I just want to eat all the salmon in the world. Like that's how I know. Some people want to eat all the chocolate. Like I can tell. It's so funny. I tell my husband all the time, like I have salmon literally every night. Like I know I'm going to get my period. So it's interesting how it's trying to communicate with you and tell you. So pregnancy, it's just being mindful of getting higher amounts of certain things, whether it's calcium, vitamin D. Your OB will probably be talking about these things with you. But a lot of people also don't recognize, like, it's important to work with a dietitian who specializes in guiding you throughout this journey. So I like to dumb it down and not make it complicated. So there are a few macro and micronutrients, but it's really just color, protein, fiber, and healthy fat.
Yeah, it's interesting. Before I got pregnant with our second, when I was working with a registered dietitian just to kind of normalize my hormones, one of the things that I really increased was my fat intake. And then also just because my iron levels were so low, I started eating a lot more red meat, which I hadn't eaten in like 15 years. So now all of a sudden my husband, smokes brisket and makes steak and does all these things. I've gotten into red meat. I don't know. And then lately, salmon, fish. I mean, you don't eat it too often in pregnancy anyway, but it just does not look appealing. So I think that everyone kind of learns and figures out what works for them and their body. But something you mentioned was kind of just that, rainbow of color. But I know one question that came in was, I'm in my first trimester and vegetables just look disgusting. I mean, I went through this. My first trimester, I looked at salad and was like, oh, and I love it. So, are there any tips you might have for being able to make sure you're getting the nutrients you need, even when you're battling with nausea during that first trimester?
Yeah. So, again, everybody's different. So I know one of my friends who just like could not stand certain things, and now it's all she eats, and vice versa. So I think kind of like thinking about it when you're like with your kids, you're just trying to sneak in vegetables and things like that. So you can throw a handful of spinach into a smoothie. Can you do some sort of egg bake by putting in some bell peppers and spinach, cauliflower, whatever it is? If you're baking it into a baked good, you add some, egg whites into an oatmeal. So especially when it comes into that beginning of that first trimester, when literally all you just want to have is probably bread, like nausea. Again, everybody's journey is different, but it's interesting because when we counsel for diarrhea, we call it the BRAT diet. So bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. It's essentially the same thing for nausea. It's like those are the only simple things that you want to have. But again, it's how can you have added benefits with like peanut butter and maybe some like mashed up strawberries for like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And that is totally, you're getting your fiber in there. You're getting good healthy fat and protein from the peanuts. You're getting simple like natural fructose sugar and antioxidants from the strawberries. So it's really about trying to find the foods that work for you. You want to make sure that you are not exacerbating it. But I would say probably trying to sneak in things as much as you can. So I love when I'm making a smoothie, you can add in frozen cauliflower and you really don't taste it. And it just makes it nice and creamy. Or avocado. There's so many like ways that, my husband doesn't know. It's cauliflower pasta, something like that. So again, everyone loves cauliflower and gnocchi. So it's really just, listening to your body, but trying to, I always like to approach it with my clients, like, how can I add more? I don't want to take away from you. So how can you add and add and add? So just about, again, where can you put it on your toast? Is it on your cracker with a smear of like a low-fat cream cheese? Again, you're getting calcium, you're getting protein. There's so many different ways.
No, that's really good advice, and I even think about how that relates to with my toddler is how can we try and sneak things in so he doesn't just eat chicken fingers.
Oh no,
So,
it's funny. I
oh,
was talking to another girlfriend too, and it's like all he wants to eat is like a milkshake. And I was like, okay, let's work with it. And so instead of like him, he thinks it's a chocolate milkshake, but I was having her putting in some spinach into there. I changed the ice cream to a Greek yogurt instead to give him a little bit more nourishment. And he didn't notice the difference. And then, like I said, get him involved. Do you want banana this time? Do you want strawberry? And he thinks it's a milkshake, and now it's a smoothie. So it's weird. You're gonna have to do the same thing for yourself, but there are many ways that you can. Again, how can I enhance the nutritional value of this?
no, that's a really good idea. And I had one of the questions that I had sent along to you was just some on the go snack ideas too that work well for pregnancy. So the smoothie, and I know you mentioned like I love just toast on the go. For me, one of my favorites is toast with some hummus and a cut up hard boiled egg. That's like one of my favorites.
Perfect. Or like avocado. And you could jump on the train with like, all of the roasted chickpeas and all of these fancy, trendy snacks. But you really can't go wrong with these a whole wheat toast, peanut butter and jelly, a trail mix. I love doing again like a veggie and hummus or some sort of hard boiled egg and nuts, apple and peanut butter. I really like to keep it really simple. So again, my foundation when I teach my clients is protein, fiber, healthy fat. So do you have like a whole wheat tortilla, some peanut butter, and then do you have, so that you have your fiber, you have your protein and your fat in there. Do you want to add a little bit more color in there? Do you want some fruit in there? And you can make kind of like a PB&J tortilla, or you can also do banana and peanut butter tortilla. You really can't, anything that you're going to probably give a kid, you can't really go wrong to give yourself at the same time. But as long as it's, again, focusing on the ingredients. When it comes to like protein bars and protein shakes, and I really don't recommend them. There's not a lot of research also on collagen in pregnancy. I do believe that it's important to make sure that you're having it at least for your bones, again, hair, skin, nails, things like that. But I have some of my clients coming to me putting collagen in here, collagen in here, collagen in here. And I'm like, whoa, like let's stick to one scoop. And the same thing when it comes to flax and hemp seeds, you don't want to overdo it. Too much of anything is not good. So like
Yeah.
a seed pudding would be a good snack. Overnight oatmeal. I really think you can't go wrong. I love nuts. Nuts are portable. You can make a little baggie of them. You can make it yourself instead of, buying. As much as I love Trader Joe's, like I can easily make my own portion of almonds and pumpkin seeds and different things, kale chips, so many different things. It kind of depends on what the person's like preference is. But again, simple protein, fiber, healthy fat.
Got it. And that kind of actually leads me to another question I had kind of received and sent to you was, in relation to maybe what you are eating and getting through your food, but maybe, there's some of those micronutrients and things that you aren't getting through your food. So, if I'm pregnant, I'm already taking a multivitamin and like a prenatal, is there anything I should specifically ask my doctor about if I should take? Like, should I do a blood panel while I'm pregnant? How does that usually work?
Yeah, they should be checking regardless because again, your iron and anemia is something very, very real and very common. Um, I always recommend, and it's something even my OB recommends, having at least 400. I recommend on the higher 800 milligrams of folate. Again, not folic acid, folate in addition. You'll have some people also recommending definitely iron is for sure. Some will recommend some zinc. I don't necessarily, and when it comes to supplements, I'm really careful, especially with my clients, looking at the quality of the supplement, making sure, because again, you don't know anything about these aren't regulated by the FDA, a billion dollar whatever industry, and you don't know what the coding is. Even when it comes to things like fish oil, I'll never have my clients will say like, oh, I'm taking a fish oil pill, and I'll have them take the actual fish oil because you have no idea how your body is going to metabolize and absorb it. So I'm really careful about suggesting brands like Barlean's. I do like to add in a fish oil for my pregnant clients. Sometimes the coenzyme Q10, it depends on anxiety levels and things like that. But the biggest thing is a folate, an iron, a vitamin D and vitamin K, maybe, depending on if they're like fair skin like you and me. But we live in San Diego, so I go outside and get my vitamin D from the sun. But again, that's something that your doctor should be definitely checking for any deficiencies. Those are the biggest ones for sure.
Got it. Yeah, no, that's good advice. I know that I started taking different supplements, but even before pregnancy, because I knew that my levels were typically pretty low. Iron, of course, is one supplement that when I remember to, I take.
You do like 27 milligrams, or how much did you end up doing?
Honestly, I don't know. I have to look at that. Hopefully it's, I think that even some of the things like you stressed, when during pregnancies you go through waves in terms of cravings or what looks good, or just I have a crazy 2-year-old running around, and I'm just trying to keep my head above water and make sure that I'm getting like enough of what I need. And at the end of the day, yes, there's probably like I maybe don't need that sprinkles cupcake, but you know what, it looks good, and COVID's happening. And so I'm going to have my half of Sprinkles cupcake, and my husband will wind up finishing the other half because that's, how our agreement goes. But he likes to joke that he sometimes gets the pregnancy cravings too, because I leave like half of it there, and he's like, oh, that looks good. So, I think it's just doing your best and kind of going with the flow and being mindful, keyword we've used a lot, what it is you are putting in your body. So yes, if you have the sprinkles cupcake, that's fine. But also make sure that you're getting your protein, you're getting your greens, and you're cognizant of what you are putting in your body. So that's kind of how I more like to look at it, is just having a little bit more balance. Like, I'm pregnant, I'm not going to not eat the cupcake if I really want it, but I'm also going to realize, okay, I had a cupcake yesterday, I don't need to have ice cream and a donut today too. Like, I can have some balance in there. Unless I really want it, I'm not going to deprive myself. But
for like my parents now, it's the same thing. It's like if it's the holidays, it's Christmas, it's New Year's, like you want to make that mindful decision. Do you want to go for ice cream every single day during your pregnancy? Probably not. But it's like your Friday night date night thing, or it's something that you were just craving that sprinkles cupcake and you had half of it. Like, to me, that's like, kudos to you. That is a great mindful choice that you made. The more you restrict it, it's like a kid. The more you tell it no, it's going to come back even stronger. So I think that it's really smart that you approach it that way, even in life, pregnant or not. It's always important.
Yeah, and that kind of, I guess the cupcake leads me to my next question, which, which obviously there's a very different parameters. If let's say you have gestational diabetes, though, obviously there are different parameters around sugar consumption. I thought maybe you can kind of just go into a little bit about what GD is and kind of how one might have to modify their diet if after they take that wonderful juice drink, they find out that they have gestational diabetes.
I remember when my client texted me when she was leaving and like, that tasted like shit. And I'm like, yeah, but it's important that you recognize, because it can be very scary. Actually, one of my good friends, she had gestational diabetes and ended up having to go on insulin. So I had to help her a lot during that. Thank goodness when she gave birth, she was okay. But yeah, so GDM, gestational diabetes, is something that is actually like pretty common. And usually it does go away after giving birth. However, it is something that can turn into diabetes. So when it's so interesting, because I remember when I used to work at Sharp, and I used to be on the floor doing like the meal plans, and especially at Mary Birch, and it was like she could only have her milk and her fruit at breakfast and like all of these things. And yeah, there are certain we probably wouldn't want you having like high sugar, high carb things like later on in the day, and also making sure that you're sticking to a good, healthy portion. But again, it's really just an overall balanced diet. So when you take the look at like a typical American diet, a bowl of cereal with milk, with sliced banana, and a glass of orange juice. Carb, 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 carb. So to me, how am I going to help you shift it into like, can we turn it into a Greek yogurt parfait and having nice, beautiful Greek yogurt, sprinkle on some cereal, maybe having some berries, some lower glycemic. And instead of an orange juice, what about that wholesome milk that is, again, going to be that calcium, but again, it's also carbohydrates. So you only had two-ish sources instead of four. So I don't like getting into the numbers unless I have a client and someone who's on insulin, then I do need a carb count because I need to be aware of how much insulin that they're on. But when it comes to gestational diabetes, again, it's wholesome, natural, trying to focus on, again, fiber, because the more fiber that you have, the more stable your blood sugar will be. And it's just not freaking out about it, because again, stress also increases cortisol, and then there's a lot of inflammation in the body. But being mindful, like, should I have 4 pieces of bread plain by itself? Because remember, with blood sugar, what goes up must come down. So it's about having something, how can I keep this stable? So that's why I like to have protein, fiber, healthy fat, because that all keeps everything stable. You don't want that crazy roller coaster.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, if you do have gestational diabetes, working with your doctor and like Jackie, a registered dietitian that has experience with gestational diabetes will be helpful because if not controlled, there could be, it's just better to work with someone who understands or to, do some research and consult your doctor so you can manage that just for you and the safety of your baby too. So I know that was a question that came up. And also another question, I just thought about it because I'm like, it's getting close to that. I could use a little pick me up. Coffee and caffeine. So I know that was a question that came in and she said specifically, coffee is life. How much can I have?
I love
So,
I
life.
every oh,
So what would you recommend in terms of caffeine consumption? And because you can still have coffee during pregnancy.
absolutely. So it's so funny because this coffee is a powerhouse. Coffee has a lot of great properties. And when it comes to pregnancy, moderation is always the best. There are lots of studies that show that moderate consumption of caffeine is totally fine. What does moderate mean? Anywhere around, I say 200 milligrams. They'll say 200 to 350. So 200 milligrams of caffeine is like a 12-ounce coffee. It's about 100 milligrams, depends on how strong your coffee is, obviously. So I usually recommend about pushing it is 2, but 1 to 1.5 cups per day. And again, if you are needing that caffeine, and everybody's lifestyle is different, they could have 3 kids running around, 1 kid, it could be their first, it could be their job. So it's really focusing on good quality sleep. Am I doing some sort of exercise? Am I doing it earlier on in the day? You natural other sources of caffeine from, like green tea, but it all adds up. So I would probably stick to about like 12 ounces maximum a day. And also being mindful that you're not adding in all of the Starbucks pumps of sugar and all of that to also, like, again, blood sugar goes up and goes down. So it's funny whenever I talk to new clients, I'm like, they say coffee, when I'm asking them about like their breakfast and things like that. I'm like, how do you take your coffee? It's usually where all of the sugar and the calories comes from, but definitely having 1 to 2 cups a day is very healthy. I would not have any of my pregnant clients having any sort of energy drink. Those are just so bad for your body in general, but especially when you're pregnant. So 200 milligrams is usually like my threshold.
Yeah, that sounds about right and what I've heard. I know even with like wine, you can have like a little bit here and there. So, my husband will have a glass and I'll steal a sip here and there, and I just daydream about after pregnancy and having like a tall margarita or something like that. But yeah, no, I think we covered a lot of the questions, but I did want to just take a moment to kind of give, I know that you just launched the group program, which you mentioned, and I'm also hoping that come spring or summer, you and I can potentially collaborate on something as well, because I kind of work on the fitness side of things, and we're making a safe return back to movement postpartum and during pregnancy, but Jackie obviously focuses on more of the nutrition side. So definitely hoping to do something like that. And can you just tell us real quick about your program that you launched?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is definitely something I was waiting for you to actually like have your baby first before being like, hey, let's collaborate. But absolutely. So I'm really excited. The Mindful Weight Loss Boot Camp doors just opened. It is a 9-week group program, and it is focusing on, again, weight loss is something that I specialize in, but it is focusing on more of like the mindful habits to finally let go of the dieting, the restriction. Usually the clients that I work with are just so sick of doing some crazy fat diet. They're sick of always constantly thinking about food, hating their body, feeling uncomfortable in their clothes, whatever it is. And I help them practice mindful behaviors and mindful choices. I, of course, help them learn how to properly fuel their body. But most of the people that come to me, they know that eating chicken breast is better than fried chicken. So it's not something that I have to teach that, but I help them build balanced, healthy meals. A lot of, so it's a group for women and moms, particularly. You're going to get easy, quick, healthy meals ideas. You're going to be supported in a group. It's a small, intimate setting. So I'm really excited. There are 6 nutrition topics that I've created. And again, it's like a skeleton, because at least the things that my clients and the community want to talk about, that's something we'll focus on. But I at least have some really fun topics in mind that are already made. And there are 3 bonus exercise sessions, which I was thinking of you, but of course you're pregnant. So the next time you're going to be probably featuring, but I always want to include that exercise component, again, mindful exercise. So you don't have to go run 10 miles a day to lose weight. You can absolutely do a 30-minute HIIT training, a bar class, whatever it is. And there's a private Facebook group. There's so much about it. So if anyone's interested, the link is in my bio. DM me. I'm very open. So don't be scared. Just definitely shoot me a DM, and I'd love to chat and have you a part of the community.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jackie. I will save this live to IGTV and make sure to tag Jackie so you can find her on Instagram if you have any questions. Like I mentioned, Jackie is based in San Diego, but she serves clients virtually anywhere, so you don't have to be local to join. Her and I will hopefully spring or summer be doing some collaboration to bring some mindful eating techniques and strategies to pregnant and postpartum women. I know that there is a lot of pressure, especially postpartum. I really avoid the bounce back and baby weight terminology and verbiage, and unfortunately, that's pretty rampant or pretty common on social media. And so, just Jackie providing her expertise into how to incorporate healthy and mindful eating into your new mom craziness will be super helpful. So, thank you everyone for joining. This will be saved and available. And Jackie, thank you so much for joining.
For having me. It was so much fun, and I definitely look forward to collaborating.
All right. Thanks, Jackie. Bye, guys. Have a great night.